Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Roamer Adventure Network. Hey, the last video we did on the Sasquatch 60, you guys loved it. Lots of comments. One of the number one things people asked about was the tent up top. And check it out. It's 4x4 Colorado, the Nimbus. And we're going to tell you all about it next.
Okay, the Nimbus by 4x4 Colorado. Brian, why don't you tell me why you chose this tent for your Sasquatch build?
Yeah, I will. So, choosing a rooftop tent, there's tons of options on the marketplace, a ton of different styles. For this particular build, this is a secondary sleeping quarters up here. And so what we really wanted was something that matched up with the fact that the trailer is so quick to deploy at camp. We wanted a tent that was super easy and super fast to pop up and be able to jump in there and get a good night's sleep. And so we went with a hard shell wedge style tent. But if you'll notice, this is pretty unique. 4x4 Colorado, fairly new company, based up outside of Denver, has produced a wedge style tent, but with a twist. And that twist is right up front. Casey's getting a great shot of that. There's a secondary hinge system at the front of this tent that gives you a ton of clearance at the base, at this end of the tent. And that's really, really important. I'll actually turn it over to Casey to talk about that because he's pretty tall. He took the first lap in this tent on the way back from Colorado when we picked it up. And for somebody who's 6 feet tall, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I've spent exactly one night in a rooftop tent, and it was this one, so take my opinion for what it's worth. But I slept, head this way, feet down here, and I can tell you, any tent of this size that is hinged down here at the base like that, I would have had to curl up to keep my feet from getting wedged into the end of the tent. So for me, turn it over, give me lots of room for my feet that I wouldn't have had in something without that hinge. So I thought it was a pretty nice feature.
Yeah, it is the most important feature that sets this tent apart on the market. But there's a ton more to talk about here. First off, this is built overseas. Almost all tents today that you can buy are built overseas. But it's all about in how the company specs these things out, communicates with the manufacturer, all the different components that go into it. And one of the really nice features here is actually this fabric. This is incredibly heavy duty ripstop nylon. It is 600D, and if you want to look up what the denier factor on ripstop nylon is all about, go for it. But most tents that you're going to find on the market today are under 300. Some of them are going to be in the 400 to 500 range, but 4x4 Colorado spec this out with 600D nylon. It's very heavy duty and it's going to last a long, long time. All right, there's more to cover on the outside from a feature standpoint, but we're going to go ahead and pop up here into the tent because I want you guys to see what that hinge system looks like and what that gets you in the tent. And look, you get a ton of airflow. You get a ton more visibility and light when you want it into this wedge style tent. Huge windows and screens on the side. And then if you'll notice back here, you've also got a skylight at the top that is covered. So even if it's storming outside at night, you can still see out, get a ton of airflow and a ton of light that's protected from the weather. You do get a 2-inch foam mattress here. We're going to talk about mattresses towards the end of the video. It's pretty adequate, but 4x4 Colorado has something up their sleeve for their tents and their tent systems that we'll talk about in a minute. One more feature, you got a really nice shelf system up on the roof inside of the tent. You'll notice you got plenty of pockets, including a clear one. If you want to put an iPad or a phone in there and watch a movie at night, just lay down and check that out. The tent also does come with a light strip, and you'll see it running down the side there. That's not where it comes standard. It actually comes standard when you get the tent down at the bottom along the top, but I didn't like it down there. The nice thing about it though is it's very easy to move, so I was able to pop it into that channel up there, and the cord sits right there, so I can drop a little USB power pack in there and have it very handy, turning it on and off and get good light in the tent. One more feature to touch on before we pop back outside. There is a strap system in here, so when you do pack up the tent, you can clip these in to those eyelets on either side, and it helps pull in the fabric as you close the tent. Makes things just go a little bit easier. Yo, look, it's Casey in a treehouse. He's loving this, man. Tell us some of the little things up here that really add value to the tent.
Yeah, what's impressed me with this is it's a really feature-rich tent. So it's not the most expensive tent on the market, certainly not the cheapest, but it is a pretty good value tent, and there's no corners cut. So all the stuff that you normally expect, the dual channel mounting stuff here, so any of your kind of normal extruded aluminum kind of mounting hardware is going to work here. Gives you lots of options for mounting like your clips and your ladder mounts and such. All the hardware is nice, high quality stuff. This is a really good, intuitive kind of mounting place.
Yeah, they're really easy to pop
Yeah.
in there. You know, some of the tents that you find on the market, you kind of got to fiddle with it,
Yeah.
find the right. There's no guesswork here. And so at night, if you don't have any light, that's still really easy to pop in there. I don't know if you guys can see that up close.
Yeah.
You know, you just bend the pole, put the eyelet in, and you're good to go.
Yeah. This is latched in good.
I think Casey might be stuck. What are you doing?
I'm moving this
No,
so that I can get
no,
these.
stop messing with the ladder. The ladder's fine.
No.
You just have to.
It wasn't. Shut up.
Yeah.
Turn off the camera.
No.
I'm going to kill you.
All right, so one of the nice things, like we said, multiple mounting points for the ladder. And that's pretty important because depending on how you've got this thing set up on your car, you need access at different points on the tent. So for setup, we put it on the back. In and out, we put it right there on the side. But when you're taking this thing down, you need to reach some latches or even the roof, which we need to talk about. You know, you get 3 nice mounting points.
All right, so show me what's going on with the roof.
All right, so sorry, first off, the roof is dirty because this thing does get used, but we wanted to talk about the rack. The rack is optional, the crossbars are optional from 4x4 Colorado. We chose to get them because we wanted to be able to mount things on top of the tent, and you'll notice we've got 2 100-watt solar panels up there in a permanent configuration. You can do whatever you want, kayaks, bikes, whatever. It's just a nice feature to have and easy to use.
All right, Brian, so I mentioned, you know, not the cheapest tent on the market, definitely not the most expensive. Why don't you tell us how much this one costs?
So the Nimbus today runs $2,800. Various sales going on different times from 4x4 Colorado. That represents a pretty dang good value when we start talking about all the different features. I mean, there are folks out there, the same style of tents with, to be frank, even less quality components that are going to cost mid-3s, upper 3s. So I think, you know, they set out to deliver a really good value for your money, and I think they accomplished that. The one thing that I do want to cover is setup and takedown. Setup, we said earlier, it's really fast. You're going to walk around the tent, you're going to unlatch 4 latches, you're going to pop this thing up, grab your ladder, and you're good to go. That 600D Oxford nylon ripstop material, the only downside to it is it doesn't pack in there as quickly as some of the lighter material, and I've actually heard that feedback from some other owners. But I figure instead of just talking about takedown, I'm just going to film it and show you how long it takes.
Okay. All right, so that took 4 minutes and 50 seconds all by yourself. Now, one thing, if you go back and watch that's important, that Brian remembered to do, I don't know if you noticed, but he left this opening up here not completely zipped up, and that was really important to let air escape the tent as you're trying to close it.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson before with zipping everything up. You think, well, you want it to be completely watertight, but leaving that little gap on the back allowed all that air out, and that thing closed so much easier. And yeah, under 5 minutes, that's really not too bad, considering I went from all the way from the very beginning to stowing the ladder back here in the back and securing those poles for the rainfly. You know, 2 people, you're going to be able to knock that down probably about 2 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah.
And setup is even faster.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, setup be the same as any other wedge style tent, right? Now, I mean, and let's not pretend like this extra hinge in the back doesn't add a touch of complexity
It does.
and work to do on packing up, but I think it's worth it. You know, one thing to consider maybe is what you're going to be putting it on. I would actually say
Yes.
that this camper might be the least conducive camper to this particular tent, just because you've got it offset. These boxes on the side kind of make it hard for you to climb up there and get to it from this other side. So if you have to do some extra tucking of that fabric back here,
It's hard to reach.
yeah, it's a little hard to reach, but we just saw you do it all by yourself in 5 minutes, under 5 minutes.
I
So,
set that ladder up against my awning and,
Yeah.
you know, at enough of an angle where it's safe, and I'm able to get over here and tuck. The hardest thing about this, being 5'9", is reaching this hinge, because this is a wide trailer. As Casey said, it's
Yep.
offset, and being able to reach over there is tough. But you know what? We figured out a way to make it work and still do this in under 5 minutes.
Yeah, and if you've got this on a Jeep or a Tacoma or something like that, that's going to be quite a bit narrower, shorter, easier to climb up the side of, it's not going to be a problem at all.
Yep. Now, in closing, there's a couple of things that 4x4 Colorado has done. First off, they've expanded their lineup. So they have the side folding tents, you know, with the flip out. They've enhanced the Nimbus. They've actually added a heater port on it. So you can tuck your diesel heater that you can buy from them into the tent and not worry about melting any of the nylon. They've got a protective layer. If you don't have that, well, you've got to figure out your own solution. And then, as we mentioned before, they're actually doing the custom fit X-Ped style mats that'll be on their website pretty soon. I don't want to sound like an advertisement, but we've really enjoyed the tent. We feel like we made the right decision. We bought from a company based here in the U.S. That's growing, and you know, they're really producing some cool products, and there's some cool guys. We actually got to meet them when we picked up the SASQUATCH Highland 60, and looking forward to meeting them up again. Oh my God.
No!
Oh my God. That was so good.
It was so good.
It was to the point where you got killed.
That was some of the best YouTubing I've seen yet.
All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed the review of the Colorado 4x4 Nimbus. We enjoyed doing it. Again, please subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time. We got more reviews coming, more equipment on this trailer, more on Casey's setup. There's a hint, awnings are next. Offroad Wave.